Alright, we'll start recording here. Sweet. What's going on, you guys? My name is Joe. We are playing Dreams. You guys can follow me on Dreams at Royal Courtesy, right here. Royal, Curtussy. So what my little dude looks like, he's a little devil guy, he's red. I am a level 25, I have 5 followers. I have only been playing this game for like, what, 2-3 weeks, not even 3 weeks right now. But I got a basic handle on the logic side of things, so let's go into dream shaping. I'm assuming that you have done at least most of the dream workshop stuff, just to get through some of the basics, you know what I mean? I deleted and re-downloaded the application because some stuff was going on, but then I realized it was a server thing, not me. And so it deleted some of the dream workshops I've already done, but it has it registered in my imp quests that I did them. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. Let's just go over some basic stuff when we first load in. Let's make an attack character. Might as well, right? So we'll go to gameplay gear right here in the gadgets, right up there. We'll go to gameplay gear, little blue one. Go to deluxe puppet. Come on now, it's just useful. We're making a character, at least some logic for a character. Plop them down. Let's see here. First, scope in L1 and X over the character. You're gonna see this little thing pop up. This is gonna give us this little here puppet logic right here. That little thing right there. You're gonna L1 and X on that same way, like that scope. It's gonna open up the puppet logic microchip here. Basically, we're gonna want to get rid of follow behavior and level complete. Just get rid of those two, because it's just gonna make your life a little bit easier. It's gonna give you more control later down the line as you're developing your character's puppet logic. Basically, this thing comes preloaded with some controller logic. Oops, wrong one. L1 and X on anything to open it up if it's a microchip. You'll know it's a microchip if it's got this here little symbol on it, this little microchip symbol. If you go press square and you go into the orange one on the gadgets, that's a right logic and processing, you'll see that that's the microchip, right? So you can open up any microchip and close any microchip, L1 and X. Pretty easy. Second thing we're gonna wanna do is L1 and square on this controller sensor. On sensors and inputs, L1 and square opens it up. It opens up the properties menu. So we have circle set up to be what possesses the puppet in important properties. So I just want to switch that. We're gonna click R1 to move the wire. See how it's undone? And I like to set it, let's set it to one of the clicks. Screw it. So on page 2, if you click L3, you will depossess the puppet. That's the big one I want to get you guys, because I like having the circle button to use. So that's a big one that I'll do. You can set it to one of the D-pads or something other than that, but I mean, you can turn it all the way off and then you can't depossess a puppet if you just want it to be your main character. But here we go. So to make an attack, we're gonna make a microchip, like I was saying, this little one right here. Plop it down, you stamp it down, and you get rid of it. Right, so we're gonna L1 and square on this one. We want a little controller icon for it. Labeling is important, you guys. It just is. We're gonna make this attack. And having this as the attack microchip, let's change the color to match up with the other one here. Green, right? It's not a perfect match. Now we can open it L1 and X over top of it. We change its properties to be the attack microchip. So next we're going to want a node. And basically a node just allows any signal to pass through it. So if you put an input into it, it'll put an output out. Pretty simple. There are some things you can do by L1 and squaring on it, change its properties. Not a whole lot, dude. It's a node. Just remember that. These are super useful though. Next thing we are going to want, if you just want we'll do one single attack right now, right? We are going to want a timeline. So we're going to need to animate our attack, right? Just to activate this attack, boom. There's a timeline. We're going to open the timeline with L1 and X. We are going to open back up the animation, animate, and put a keyframe right here. A lot of people, they like to leave that one like normal or whatever. I don't see it as important. I just make it big. I resize it by hovering over it and pressing the up direction on the D-pad. You can downsize it by pressing down. Pretty simple, intuitive. Next thing you do, you take this little button up here at the top of it, drag it at least to halfway, maybe past. And then just make this motion not as drastic. To start, I always set the legs. That's gonna really, so we put the puppet mirror on so that the legs move at the same, that's gonna really set the tone of your attack stance. Any attack, you wanna have a nice wide stance, right? So wider than the shoulders is pretty standard. That gets you power. I'm just talking from experience from doing fighting and stuff. Now, next thing we want to do is grab him by the area, you know, the no square, and pull him down a little bit, because you can't get any power if you don't have any bend in your knees. Look at that. Pretty easy. Right. Next thing we could do is just grab, so we hover over this, and on the forearm here, press L2 instead of R2 to move it. Hold L2 to rotate. You can use these local sticks. This one will rotate up like this on the right stick and back. And then the left stick will rotate that way and that way. If you grab it by here at the shoulder, you actually, with the L stick, you get more inward outward rotation. And then the right stick will give you all of your up, down, out kind of rotation. So let's get kind of outward, hold them in, so rotate these up. Now he looks like he's ready to punch, right? Pretty much, but I don't like how straight his back is. So let's get him a little bit of a curve. Nice. Turn puppet mirroring off at this point once you have a stance, because now you're gonna do some, we can grab this lumbar right here and we can rotate it with the left stick, left and right, like that, right? So let's rotate him left, and then we rotate the chest. Only if you're gonna do a big rotation, rotate those two pieces in stages. It'll look more realistic, because not all of your rotation happens just from the lumbar here, right? Some of your rotation happens in the chest. I can rotate my chest without my lumbar. And some rotation happens in the hips. You can come to his no square and we can rotate his hips. See that? Nice. Now we got a real nice stand, right? And we're gonna rotate his neck a little bit and then his head a little bit to rotate and look a little bit forward. Because who punches at something they can't see? That's stupid. There we go. We've got ourselves a stance. Now we end the recording. What you can also do is hold L1 and X over any recording keyframe and it will stop the recording. Now we are going to L1 and R2 to clone it, drag it to the next second mark. This is just so that when you're working with it, you can just work your keyframes, and then you can shrink them down and resize them later. This just makes it easy. I like it big so that I can at least work my keyframes, and then they usually come down to under about 2 seconds when they actually look good. So anyways, let's edit this. So now we go, and we are now editing with L1 and X on that keyframe. We're gonna rotate back to standard position. Rotate this, boom. Rotate the neck back and the head back a little Right, now he is looking forward again. And we're going to rotate the hips so that he, oops, wrong way, rotate. So that he is now this way. Boom. And we are going to lift him up from his pelvis. So, boom. That's good. And we can lift him forward a little bit, like that. See, that's a good, that gets that rotational power and an upward thrust. You just, come on, this is like physics, guys. Body mechanics. If you can figure that shit out, you can make a good animation. And basically, we're gonna blend these two frames together for a basic animation. So we want this to come out. Boom. Basic punch. I don't like that he's bowing. Basic punch. We want this to cross a little bit further. Boom. And then this one should come back a little bit, just because that's how it should be. Just like that. So now you got yourself a quick little punch. In between here, when you see this little bar pop up, L1X, change the blend. That's linear, ease in, ease out, ease both. I like using ease both, it's just smoother. Like I said, hover over a keyframe that's recording and press L1 and X and it stops recording. Look at that, just magic. Now we grab the outside dot. You cannot manipulate the inside dot anymore. It won't let you do it. So we grab the outside dot on the end of the time frame, and we blend it just past halfway out. So what we get should be, well, now we can minimize the size of the timeline so it's not playing for like 7 seconds straight. We can rewind and we can play it and you can see he's punching. There you go. Basic punch. Boom. Right, but it's a little slow. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna downsize this one a little bit and downsize this one a little bit. And I just wanna smash that so that it all happens in 1 second. See how everything happens under this 1 second mark? Boom. Leave just a little breathing room so that it can ease back into its standing position. Ready? Pretty good. So you just got to think about it that way. If you can make things happen in 1 second, that's pretty human speed. But you can obviously make this happen way faster if you want. Let's make it happen within like 1.8. How about 1.5 seconds? We'll set this to like, it'll happen within like 1.6, 1.7 seconds. Now, if we set that fast, he's gonna be punching really quick right now. Let's see. See? Boom. It's almost like unnaturally fast. I don't like it. So I'm gonna set that back the way I had it. Because I like the way it was, bro. Boom. I like it. It's good. We could probably fare to make it just a little bit. But now I'm just being nitpicky, you know, like you don't, this is where you should be nitpicky, honestly, is in the animations. So definitely take your time. Here's the cool thing. Now that we've got it doing that, I like to do this just because it's fun. I'm about to give away my secret, so should I do this? You know what? Okay. If you guys want a second tutorial on some effects, please, we will do that. We'll just keep moving for now. So let's take the input from this node, or the output, sorry, and we're gonna power the keyframe. Right, that's your attack right there. We can close that. We open the controller sensor with L1 and square. L1 is your anchor to manipulate in the Dreamiverse. Let us pick a button. What do we like? I like square. Square's a good basic attack. Boom. There you go. Okay. But does he need does he need a weapon? Maybe, but let's just, okay, I'll show you what happens. Ready? Let's possess the puppet. Square. You have to hold it though. So that's because we have it on continuous input.
the video cut out because I didn't have it to set to play longer or record longer than 15 minutes. But okay, so basically, yeah. So the video cut out. I have to finish up this tutorial. I'm just gonna do it through the microphone on my headset. So back to tutorial one. This is open source now, so you guys can get into it. We'll go to edit. Basically, the last thing that you saw was it was continuous while like continuously powered, so you had to hold square. Let's open the timeline. Everything's still the same. So open it with L1 and square the timeline, and you can see that I switched this to play once instead of sustain, and I also upped the attack speed about 15% because I just wanted a little tiny bit faster, but that's a quick way to change the speed without like messing with the frames themselves. So what we have now is a fully operational, and that was the last step, literally. That was all I did after that. Now we have a fully operational one click. All you have to do is click the button one time, and he punches every single time. And you can run and punch. Boom. It's kind of weird. You can jump and punch. So yeah, it just, yeah, and if you click it a lot, he'll spaz out to the beginning of it at any time. So yeah, pretty simple. We can expand upon this later. Um, Exit creation. I don't want to save it because it's already saved. This is public for everyone. If you want to go and use it for anything or reference it or whatever. Um, Basically, let's see here. We'll go to one where I have a bunch of animations set up. So this is one where I have a lot of like basically square, triangle, and circle all have attacks in them, and they have combo attacks. One, that's square one, square two, square three, and then you have triangle one. I'll teach you how to do that. Triangle two, teach you how to do that. Triangle three, that one's easy. We've got circle one, which is that, circle two, slash, and then circle three with a big spin. It's iffy, but you know what? It's what it is. So I can teach you guys how to do that. I will also show you guys. Hang on, I gotta get back to it. I'll show you guys. I made an AI that you can fight. That's pretty cool. I'm just going through the stuff like now that I'm gonna show you guys how to do. I did one where you can attach and I actually have this one set up as a puppet you can use using the right direction pad. This is not the one. Whoops. My bad, guys. So where is it? Yeah, so using a template, I just keep remixing my own ones to add things to it. So now direction pad will equipped. Right direction pad equips. It stays in place wherever you're going, right? So pretty cool. If we go, this is a blank puppet you guys can use. It has no attack animations set up in its logic, but it has combo attacks set up for you to animate. So if you're feeling gutsy, it's the same setup as before. I have the action logic set up to 3 buttons. These are each the animation buttons for square, triangle, and circle. So if we go into square, you see we have that node that I showed you how to do and that timeline. I just have some extra stuff around it, like a counter and a selector. I have another node back here for the reset. I have another node hooked into A for a bypass, and I have a node for the damage resetter. Okay, so pretty simple. Looks complicated. There is one of those. Each one of those timelines in there, right here, each one of these is another attack. So you automate square, press it one time, this timeline goes. When this timeline's over, it triggers into the B. So if you press square again, this second attack will trigger. Same thing happens, and then the last timeline will be played. But then I also have it triggered so that after D, it goes back to the first attack. Then on E, the F port goes to the third attack, and the G port shouldn't be there. And then that will restart it where A needs this right here, this bypass. That'll restart. I added that because I couldn't get the selector to keep going because A wasn't putting out through a resetter. So anyways, pretty simple, right? Well, not really, but pretty complicated. And there's just 3 of those for each button. So there's another one for triangle. You animate all 3 attacks for triangle, and you animate all 3 attacks for circle. And I just showed you how that looks. Like you have all 3 attacks on that last puppet I showed you. This one's just blank. It doesn't have any attacks set to it. So if you would like to use that one, it is open source on the Dreamiverse as remix of new puppet for combo blank, if that is something you're looking into doing. So we also have different versions. If you want the one that has the attacks, you can use that one, the swordsman. You cannot see that one. That's for a project I'm working on. Here's the Gatling gun. This is what I'll teach you guys how to do next time, because if you look at it, we've got a lot going on, kind of. But honestly, it's just an add-on. This is a keyframe with a lot of motions and a motion to keep it stable. And this signal generator goes into this here. If I scope onto the puppet, oh, whoops, no. If I open that, you can see that there is a couple of things out here that it's attached to. That is an emitter, and that's just a sphere that's linked to the puppet, so that if the puppet moves, that moves, and that is where the attack comes from. Basically what happens when you play this, we'll scope out, when you play this from the start, you'll see that he does a lot of motions, and then when this signal generator is hit, it sends a signal to this emitter and that object to come into life and start doing their thing. And I have it set to emit an effect. So watch. Right. So you don't get to see it there unless I press like play. And then if we drag this playhead along, boom, you see the beam? It activates that emitter, and we get ourselves a Gatling gun effect. I'll show you guys how to do that next, okay? Sweet. See you next time.